cracking? My people. My people. Okay. I'm coming off the cuff today. I'm not so very well prepared for life sometimes. But I'll tell you without much introduction that we're going to be talking about the sweet spot today. Have you ever heard of the sweet spot? Like if you're playing baseball, the perfect spot on the bat where you hit the ball and it has just like this kind of click to it. It's not a forcing thing, it's just this sweet spot. And it, you know? Or when you're playing music with a band and the scene is just a vibe and everybody, it's the sweet spot. When you're in a relationship and y'all are together and you just got it going, you know? It's the sweet spot. In recent years, however, there's been a lot of confusion about the sweet spot. What it means, where to find it, how to stay there. And our culture is big on optimization. We want to optimize everything. So regardless of what you think is the sweet spot of being, whether it's a vibe, whether it's being successful, whether it's being in flow state, that's your sweet spot. And the question is, how do we recognize what it is for ourselves? And how do we spend more time there? Because, at the end of the day, we want to feel alive, right? Here's the first thing that I would say about it. And here's one of the most difficult parts about the whole deal. The most misleading idea of all time is that you're not in the sweet spot right now. And there are endless amounts of people who will tell you this because they have something to sell you. You're not in the sweet spot. You need to get to the sweet spot. Here's how you do it. Here's the $99.95 program. Here's the 3-hour webinar. Here's the 2-hour free webinar that's actually gonna funnel you towards the pay webinar. Here's the article. Here's the school that you need to get to the sweet spot. Do you know what all of those things have in common? I'll wait. None of them are you. Let me say that again. The webinars, this video, me, your parents, your religion, universities, your jobs, your friends, whatever source you want to talk about, none of them are you. And so you are going to be the end-all be-all source of finding your sweet spot and knowing what it is. And that is one of the hardest things to understand when they have this constant misleading idea that you're not in the sweet spot right now. We're going to come back to that, but remember that I said it. So the sweet spot. You're going through some challenges in your life right now, and you don't feel great about how you're doing, and you don't necessarily feel alive. And it gets exhausting sometimes with this constant trial and error, and trial and error, and trial and error, and trial and error. And this constant push and this constant grind for optimization. So, the sweet spot is much bigger than you think it is. But we got sold this idea that the sweet spot should always feel sweet. It should always taste sweet. It should always be effortless. Now, if you're hanging out in the Matrix, like I am, then the Matrix might have told you that from point A to B, whether point B is having a family or a successful relationship or $1 million, this, that, or the other, that success meant to have as many good feeling days as possible stacked up on top of each other. And this is a very classic, kind of statistical approach. I want to feel good, I don't want to feel bad, so therefore success means feeling good more than bad. And being really successful means that I'm just living it up and feeling great all the time. If you would like to live in a very small matrixy box, you can work with this. And you can start trying to build up this account of good days. I'm not gonna judge you for that. I'm not gonna hate on it. I get where it comes from. I will say, however, that if that matrixy box isn't enough for you, and you feel like there's something bigger in here calling to you, then you're probably going to have to get out of that box, and then the next box, and then the next box, and then the next box, until you'll forget how many boxes it is that you've grown out of. And growing out of boxes is uncomfortable sometimes, to say the fucking least. Sometimes it's downright painful and frustrating and exhausting. But the question at the end of the day is, do I want something more? And so then, back to the point, what if your sweet spot isn't always about feeling good? What if we can get to a place where we have a little more understanding of the diversity of life? What if we realize that bad days are necessary? And all of a sudden that question of what the sweet spot is and what it looks like is a much different experience. And this is eventually going to be your decision. That's why you're seeing this video right now, is because you're headed that way to make it your decision. So that's a question number one. What if the sweet spot is bigger than you think it is? And how can we start moving towards that perspective where it's bigger than we think it is? Remember when I said I was going to get back to it? I'm not going to keep y'all forever today, because I want to give you more questions than answers today. Because y'all are smart. You're deep. You have something inside of you that's beautiful, and it's looking to help you with brighter colors and better answers to questions that you haven't even discovered yet. And it's going to help you right now when you start asking yourself these questions. But remember what I said earlier, that the most misleading idea in life is that you're not already in the sweet spot. So we're not going to talk right now about how to get that brighter, excuse me, I'm in Germany, second bright for wide, sweet spot. But what if you're in the sweet spot right now and you don't know? What if you're exactly where your inner being wants you to be, exactly where God wants you to be, exactly where the universe wants you to be? And this is all according to a beautifully laid out and flexible plan where you have something to learn here, and you have something to benefit from, and you have something that you can invest in having a beautiful quality of life. What if it's a marathon and not a sprint? That it doesn't have to be the size of a TikTok video to be tasty. Because if it is a marathon and you do want to get out of that little box and find you some leg room, all the crayons in the box are going to start coming out. That's where I'm going to leave it today. And that's where I'm going to leave it today. All the crayons in the box are going to start coming out. But what if the sweet spot is bigger than you think it is? What if you're in it right now? And what if you had the power to make that decision for yourself, to hold that sort of perspective? What would your life be like then? As always, if you watched this video all the way through, man, good on you. Good on you. I feel like the universe brings us together for a reason. So if it has 2 viewers, if it has 1,000 viewers, if it has 1,000,000 viewers, like there's a reason for it. So I'm down for that, and I'm down to be here. I hope you guys, if you have any questions or comments, that you put them down in the comments, because I love talking with you and I love interacting with you. And if you have any ideas for what you want me to talk about, by all means, I hope you hit me up. You know, it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day, and it's time for a new life. It's time for a different approach. And it's time to learn in love and not suffering. Till next time.